thanks for joining, everyone. I appreciate the time, and hopefully we can get through the initial look at what our a new product assortment is. Feel free to interrupt and ask questions along the way, and hopefully I can get you as much information as you need to get out there and start expanding the digital signage world. Any of you who really aren't familiar with BrightSign, I kind of want to back up to a little bit. The digital signage industry is really primarily made up of a number of software companies that make a really unique content management software solution, but really hardware was kind of an afterthought. And historically with this industry, these companies that made these great software programs to manage content typically use PCs to drive that content. And as we know, PCs are a very, very poor solution in terms of reliability. And so BrightSign came on the board about 6 years ago now. We're actually piggyback off of Roku. If anyone's familiar with Roku, we started from Roku. Anthony Wood is the inventor of the DVR. Once he sold off that technology, he created Roku way before video streaming was even a consideration. So Anthony actually started Roku about 12, 13 years ago. And that's the consumer side of the business. And Jeff Hastings, his friend and our CEO, branched off from Roku and started BrightSign on the commercial side. So the reason why that's an important piece of the puzzle is, we've developed a hardware solution that is extremely reliable and really by far outperforms any PC solution out there. And so the one thing that you should take away from a BrightSign experience is the fact that we specifically make hardware designed specifically for digital signage, whereas a PC is taken as a PC and built into a digital signage media player. So we're just known for our reliability. We're an extremely affordable solution. We have an easy to use solution, and it's just a very, very powerful video engine. So as Bill mentioned, we are the global leader in the digital signage media player category. Nobody sells even close to as many BrightSign players as are out there globally. This year we'll surpass over 1 million media players out in the field. So we're very proud of that. You notice here on the map, we've got offices throughout the country or throughout the world, and about 60% of our business is done here in the U.S., about 40% in Europe and Asia. So we span the globe, and again, we're the world leader. And really, that's happened over the last maybe 4 or 5 years. So we've developed it very quickly, and there's a reason why we're moving into being the global leaders, just because of this reliability that we offer our customers. This is an eyesore of a chart, but it does give you an idea. If you look at the far left in the purple line, BrightSign has almost a 12% market share, and this is everything. This is all the PCs, all the little Android devices out there. And the one thing that's really interesting, if you look at the far right, the top line of others. So over half of the entire industry owns less than 1% of the entire, or 0.1% of the entire industry. So, I mean, it's just made up of so many different players here. You'll notice BrightSign leads the way, but there's so many guys out there. So you're going to be out in the field, and there's going to be somebody that says, well, we've been using XYZ company, and, half the time I've never heard of some of these companies, but it's because the industry's just flooded with media players. So one of the, just bottom line, why, if your customers are asking why would you suggest a BrightSign solution, really this is the slide. It's really because of our reliability and our affordability. The reliability standpoint, our fail rate on our media players is less than 1/4%. So it means that you could have 6,000 BrightSign media players out in the field, and one of them might fail. So it's a real number, and it's a reason why companies like Bose and GoPro and Sonos and LG and Samsung, all of those retail brands that have literally hundreds of thousands of endpoints in their displays throughout the world, they've all switched over to using BrightSign because they just know in a retail environment, the media players are always going to be playing. And so the reliability is something that we stand on very firmly, and it's something that you should be able to communicate very effectively to your customers. The reason why it's so reliable is it's a non-PC. It's solid state, so there's no moving parts. There's no fans that need to keep the players cool. It's built specifically for media players, and it's specifically for digital signage. This is our proprietary platform, so we don't take a PC and build it up. We've got our entire, it's Linux at its core, but everything after that is BrightSign proprietary hardware. So we're very proud of the fact that we've made it very, very small form factor, but it's made for digital signage. There's very low power requirements. It's very easy to install, and it's scalable to literally have thousands of media players connected to the network and being able to be managed through the cloud. So very, very affordable, very reliable, and extremely versatile as well. So now we want to introduce our new lineup. Some of you are familiar with the previous, we call Series 2 lineup. This is our new Series 3. And really what we've done is we've taken the capabilities, the vast capabilities of our Series 2 players, and we've essentially made them smaller, more powerful, and less expensive in a nutshell. And so we've taken from the entry-level LS line all the way to the XT line. We've really streamlined the media players. I think with if you look at the form factor, if any of you are familiar with our 4K player from Series 2, you'll notice that was, I think, about 2.5 inches high, maybe 3 inches high. And that was primarily because of the heat sink that we would get off of the Broadcom chip, the 4K chip that we used. We've engineered a way to disperse that heat, and with this form factor, we're able to do the highest resolutions of 4K at a very, very small, slim form factor. So we're really excited about what we've been able to engineer with just the look and feel of the new players. This is the old Series 2 lineup. You'll notice there were 10 models, different price ranges from $200 to $850. We've really streamlined that into now same 4 different product lines, but we've scaled it down to 7 models. And so we've basically introduced a lineup that goes from $250 to only $650, whereas before, if you remember, we topped out at $850. So we've taken the capabilities of our old 4K player and brought them down into the XD line. And same thing with the XD line of last year. We've moved those capabilities down to the HD lineup. And same thing with the LS. We've taken last year's HD capabilities and move them down into the LS entry level. So now you've got the capability of doing the highest resolutions of HD or high definition video at the LS line for $250, and also you can do the highest resolutions of 4K at the XD level starting at $450. So I'll get into a little bit of the details of the 4 different product categories, but as you can see, we've streamlined it and made it less affordable, or less expensive, I should say. This is an eyesore of a chart as well. I'm going to kind of blow through it, but really what we've done here is we've taken the entry level. If you remember the LS422, the Series 2 version, was not able to do 1080p at 60 frames per second. It could only do it at 30 frames per second. Now you've got the 423 that's capable of doing the highest resolutions of 1080p at 60 frames per second. It also is able to decode H.265 content. Some of you may not be familiar with H.265. It's probably maybe 2 to 3 years in the making. Most of the guys that are creating content today are creating it and encoding it in using H.265 compression. In the past, it went from Flash to H.264. And what H.264 did was take some of these higher resolution video contents and compress them down. It still wasn't enough, and so they've now taken H.265, which takes these massive HD and 4K files and compresses them down into a very small bit rate, which makes it very simple to push it out into through the network and on the cloud, and through these, the bandwidth is much less. So now you've got a $250 media player that's not only capable of doing the highest resolutions of HD or 1080p, but it's also able to decode an H.265 encoded video content, which is a very, very difficult thing to do, and it's going to make it very powerful for the people that are encoding these massive video files. And then finally, it also allows you to play very basic HTML capabilities. So if you want to do an RSS ticker down below the screen, or you want to do a clock widget or a weather widget, the entry-level LS423 is capable of handling that type of HTML. So really, you've got a very powerful piece at $250 list price that will compete with all these crappy Android solutions out in the market today. So I want you guys to really remember that I really do believe that in a lot of cases, the LS423 will allow you to handle a lot of the basic functionalities that you're seeing out there today in digital signage, which we're really excited. I think this is going to be a great piece. And the one last thing that you should take away is this piece is tiny. It's less than 3 inches wide by 4 inches long, so it's a very, very small form factor. When you pick it up, you're shocked at the fact that there's actually components that are capable of doing all of that it's doing, because it's very, very lightweight. And then finally, this handles all the reliability factors that all the way up to our Enterprise XT levels do. In fact, all the models that we release all have to maintain the same reliability standards that we expect out of all of our players. So again, less than 1/4% fail rate. So then we get to the HD level. Really, we're just building off of the LS. We're capable of still doing H.265 compression, which, by the way, all of the models in BrightSign Series 3 can decode H.265 compressed video files. The HD has a single decode of 1080p at 60 frames per second. It will also upconvert to 4K content. And then it also has a little bit more powerful HTML capability to it. So a little bit better than the entry-level LS. And you'll notice that we've got different inputs and outputs based on what your needs. And so this is why, basically you've got the HD223 that has basic inputs for $350 list. And if you need, say, a serial input or USB input for touchscreens, the HD1023 has those capabilities as well. And actually, I should back up. The LS423, really, it does also have USB. So if you need touchscreen capabilities, the LS423 is capable of handling that as well. And that's why I say I think the LS is going to be a really big player for a lot of people. So a little bit more power behind the HD players and a little bit more HTML capabilities. And then when we get to the XD, this is the model, the two models that I'm very, very excited about, specifically because we took what was capable of in the old 4K players. We've taken those capabilities and basically moved all of those capabilities down to the XD level. So now you've got what was a $600 4K player. You've got a $450 player that's capable of playing the highest resolutions of 4K. And so I think a lot of you really need to recognize the fact that there are all of the TVs that are coming out today are doing 4K at 60 frames per second. They're playing 10-bit color. They're doing HDR, high dynamic range. So these TVs have the capability of playing some very, very high level video resolution. Most if not all PCs, are incapable of playing that. They're not able to decode that high resolution H.265 specifically encoded video. So now you've got an XD player at $450 that's capable of doing all of that. In addition, it's got a dual video decode. So you could have a 4K 60p video playing on the screen and, say, in the background or in another zone on the TV playing an HD 1080p video content. So dual video decode on the same screen. That's very difficult to do. A PC would really struggle with that. And so you're capable of doing that at a $450 price point. So really, now you get into the HTML capabilities. Now you've got the capability of doing swipe and pinch. So a lot of touch screen capabilities on the XD player. The XD233 has basic capabilities. The engines of the XD233 and the XD1033 are identical. The reason you would step up to a 1033 would be to get serial or dual USB, and those are the only reasons really why you would step up to a 1033. If you're doing, say, a touch screen, you're going to need to use the 1033 to get the USB input. So really the XD233 is capable of doing everything that the XD1033 can do without just serial and USB. So then you move up to the enterprise solution, and really what we decided to do is we made this enterprise solution more so for the large enterprise or corporate solutions that really require PoE, power over Ethernet. So any of the capabilities or any of the projects that you're looking for that need PoE, you're going to need to move them to the XT lineup, because those two models are the only models that we have that will provide PoE. They also have an extremely high quality HTML engine in them as well. So if you're doing wayfinding type applications where you're doing some very sophisticated touch screen HTML capabilities, or just HTML, very high movement HTML, you're going to use the XT level for that. And then the third thing that the XT line will provide you that is not available in the XD is HDMI in. So if you need, if you're looking for some type of live TV or an HDMI input, the XT 1143 will provide that. So we have one model in the entire lineup that has has HDMI input. So really, when you're moving from XD to XT, you're looking for three things. It gives you PoE, it gives you an HDMI input for live TV, and it also gives you a much higher and stronger HTML capable player. Those are the only reasons why you would move to an XT level. Everything that the XD will provide is really what you're looking for aside from PoE, HDMI in, and higher HTML capabilities. So that's the lineup in general. I think we're really excited about all the capabilities. And if you look at just the form factors, you're looking at the XD and the XT. They're identical in form factor, which is amazing to think that all the things that you can do with these players. They're very small, and the HD is smaller than the XD, and then obviously the LS being a very, very small piece. One thing to mention, too, is all of these players, I should say the HD, XD, and XT have been rated from a heat sink capability up to 70°C, which is about 150 degrees. So all of the HD, XD, and XT players, because of their aluminum alloy exterior, are capable of handling any exterior media player capabilities. So these things can sit in a drive-through box outside and be able to maintain the heat, and as well as the cold. I'm based here in Minneapolis, Chicago. I mean, all of the cold days in the winter, these things can maintain that as well. So very, very high capabilities from an outside capability as well. Some of the new features that we've talked about, this is with the LS. I've already mentioned H.265, 1080p decoding, HTML capabilities. These things have a great way you can stream via IP, so any type of video content can be streamed. Bright Beacon is a really, really unique feature that I think everyone should get to know a little bit more. There's a lot of information of it on our website at brightsign.biz. For those of you who aren't familiar with the beacon technology, Bluetooth is really an emerging technology that people want, but in the past have really not been able to really take advantage of. So all of our players have Wi-Fi capability. So there's a Wi-Fi dongle that you would purchase. It's a $50 list price piece. Once that Wi-Fi module is placed into the media player, it now not only has the capability of recognizing Wi-Fi signals, but it also gives you the capability of using Bluetooth. And what Bluetooth, or what we call Bright Beacon, allows you to do, or the customer to do, is now you can actually access or communicate with your customers via their Bluetooth on their phone. So not only can you send them signals, send them promotions, if it's a retail type solution, if it's a corporate solution, the HR department could send the employees information through Bluetooth to their phones. So really good communication capabilities there. You could have on a video on the screen text 1234 to get the latest information on our product, or to get new information on our healthcare for a corporate environment. That once the customer takes their phone and types 1234 or text 1234, it immediately sends a signal to the BrightSign media player to play a specific content, or it will allow the customer to be able to control what kind of content they want to see. So once they text 1234, the BrightSign player could be programmed to send the customer the demo content. So now their demo content is on the customer's phone, and they can control what kind of content they want to see on the screen. So once they say there's 4 different video content that's in the BrightSign player, the customer would have that information on their phone, and they could say, I want to see one of the 4 videos. It would send a signal to the BrightSign player. The BrightSign player would immediately play that content. So Bright Beacon is a new Bluetooth control capability that it really goes way above and beyond what Bluetooth control has been in the past. And so we're really excited about that. It's available at a $250 media player. And so for those of you that want more information on that, like I said, it's on our website. I'd be more than happy to talk more about it if it's something that you're interested in. I can bore you to death with more PowerPoint slides, but I won't do that today. But Bright Beacon or Bluetooth beacon control, very, very powerful tool that will now be available throughout all of our players via the Wi-Fi dongle. And just one more thing on Wi-Fi, we did expand our Wi-Fi capabilities in that each player that gets Wi-Fi will now have at least a single antenna that screws in the back of the player, which gives you, or at least I should say the LS and the HD players will have a single antenna, and the XD and XT models will have dual antennas. And what that will give is a much stronger range. It won't, it'll improve the signal for sure, but it'll also give you that much more powerful range in terms of being able to expand how far you reach that Wi-Fi signal. So the Wi-Fi capabilities of these players will have much powerful range as well. Brightwall is another feature that a lot of guys are starting to get to know a little bit more. It's a feature within BrightAuthor, which is our free software. When you're building video wall projects, Brightwall really makes it very simple. You're capable of taking a video and spraying it across multiple screens with basically a drag and drop capability. So Brightwall is a new feature that's been out for about a year now, and we're really excited about that. Tagging. Some of you who are familiar with our BrightSign network, which is our cloud-based solution, tagging, now you're capable inside the BrightSign network cloud-based CMS, you are able to tag media and players. So you can choose, you can pre-set up how the players are getting content. They can be tagged to say, you know, in the West region players only get, you know, the West region media. It can all the media can be housed in one central location in BrightSign Network, but when the players log into their BrightSign Network account, they know that they're only going to take the West Coast media content. They won't be able to download the East Coast or Midwest or South. So tagging is a really new feature that people have been asking for, and that's available with all of our players as well. Again, BrightPlates over in the far right. BrightPlates is also another feature within BrightSign Network that allows, it's a number of different templates. So a lot of customers that don't want to go into BrightAuthor and build their own projects are capable of taking BrightPlates and using those templates that are pre-built and just dragging their own content into those zones, if you will. So BrightPlates is another great feature within BrightSign Network. And then finally, bdeploy is another new feature that we've introduced within BrightSign Network. That is a great tool for provisioning a number of media players for one specific project. So say you've got a project that's got 200 or 2,000 media players and you're deploying them all at once. You can go in and take the serial numbers in an XML file, and provision these players so that they're all set up once they log in. So you don't have to go in and individually set up each one of these players. They can be done well ahead of time through bdeploy. And then once the players are plugged into a network out in the field, they literally say, all right, I'm serial number XYZ. You go up to the cloud, grab the content for serial number XYZ, and load it onto the media player. So bdeploy is a great tool for large-scale deployments.
Hey, Eric, a question came up here.
Sure.
I don't know if it's an appropriate time, but we'll check anyway. So are there any HTML limitations that I need to be aware of on the XD model that can handle, but the IS model will not handle? His understanding is that something is either HTML5 or it's not.
Yeah, so I mean, I actually asked the same questions to our engineers a few weeks ago, and I believe they just released a document this last week that shows the capabilities of, you know, how the HTML capabilities step up from the LS to the HD to the XD to the XT. So, you know, I don't want to cloud the issue. If you don't mind, Bill, I can send that document out to the field so you guys have that. But there are, you know, I know it's kind of vague in terms of how to describe what the HD can do that the LS can't do, and I've asked that same question, and I know there's a document that I just got last week that kind of describes that. So I think that's probably something that would be good for you guys to have, and it would answer the question that I'm really not capable of answering in a real light way. So I'll send that over to you after this call.
Great, thanks.
Once we get to the HD, I mean, I mentioned the HD models. Obviously, the question with the more HTML capable player, we'll get more information to you on that, on what that's capable of doing. But really, it's being able to do more HTML. The capabilities of this mosaic mode is a new feature in the HD that the LS does not have. And this is a really interesting feature in that you could take, let's just say you've got 1080p, 60 frames per second video, or resolution on your TV, you could take 5 different zones and take that 1080p resolution and split it up into 5 different video zones. So now with mosaic mode, you've got 5 videos playing all at once on the same screen, but they're the content director, the guy that makes the video content, would have to split up each of those 5 videos to add up to the 1080p resolution that's on that screen. So I know it's a little bit kludgy in terms of how it's set up. The video guys that create this content would know how to split up that video. So literally it allows customers to have multiple videos playing constantly at the same time. The content directors that develop that content would just split the videos up so that they all equal the 1080p resolution of that TV. So it's a great new feature. A lot of people are excited about that, especially the guys that develop content because they know how difficult it is to have many videos playing simultaneously. So mosaic mode is a feature that starts with the HD, is available in the XD and XT as well. I mentioned the external thermal temperature as well. That starts with the HD. The LS models is a plastic casing. We've taken out all the costs of the LS to really, as I mentioned earlier, to compete with a lot of these poor performing Android players. But the HD model is the aluminum exterior, and we, that aluminum alloyed outside, it literally is one of the reasons why it's capable of existing outside in extended temperatures of 70 C. So a lot of great engineering went into that capability, and so that's a real piece to talk to your customers who are worried about heat sink and the cold temperatures as well. The XD models, now you're getting into true 4K playback. And, if any of you are familiar with the new TVs that are coming out, all of them are playing at the highest resolutions of 4K today. HDR, high dynamic range, is a new feature that all of these TVs are capable of handling, and it's basically taking the 10-bit colors that are capable, the highs and lows, the brights and the darks of the screen, and really emphasizing those. So HDR10 via HDMI 2.0 is something that very, very few, if any, I'm not familiar with any other media players in the world that are capable of decoding this HDR10. So it's something that you should really be conscious of, because the new TVs that are coming out today have this capability. And if you're working with anybody that's encoding new video content, they want to encode this content in 4K. They want to encode it in HDR10, but very, very few media players, if any, like I said, are capable of doing this. So something to keep in mind. 4K upscaling as well. So now you've got the capability of having a dual video decode. So you can either have 2 HD 1080p videos playing simultaneously on the screen, or you can have a 4K video content playing on the screen and another HD 1080p video playing simultaneously. That's very powerful, and a PC would probably not be able to do that. So you're talking $450 to be able to do that capability is amazing. So really, you're getting all the capabilities that the HD player has, plus an accelerated HTML engine, an advanced performance in terms of capabilities with HTML, and a couple more pieces. We mentioned B-deploy. We mentioned mosaic mode. This one does have an M2 SSD interface, so that if customers do need a much higher capability of storage, the SSD drive will provide that. It's at the bottom of the player. It just pops into the bottom. I mentioned tagging earlier. The other piece that's a very, very cool piece, if some of you are familiar with remote snapshot is something that you can set up the players to take snapshots, image snapshots of what was playing at any given time. So you can always log in and say, let me see what was playing on this player at 10 p.m. yesterday. You can log in and see Remote Snapshot will show you what image was playing at 10 p.m. last night. Remote View is a new feature. Oops, I'm sorry. I think I went back here. My bad. Remote View is something that we're really excited about in terms of being able to see what's playing live. So now with Remote View, you can go in and see exactly what's playing. It's a live video snapshot of what's playing. It'll essentially stream what's playing live. So you can always see what's playing, and if it's a video file, you'll be able to see that live. So that's Remote View, and that's the difference between Remote Snapshot. So I think that's essentially it with the XD. Please remember the 4K capabilities on this is really powerful, and it really matches what the 4K of Series 2 last year was capable of handling. And then I mentioned the XD. We've got the capability of not only doing all the 4K capabilities, but now you've got the fastest HTML engine, the graphics on HTML. A lot of guys are starting, these content guys are starting to do a lot with HTML. And it's getting to the point now where you need a powerful engine to be able to drive some of the things that these HTML guys are doing. So this one has a very, very powerful CPU. It can handle all of those graphics. In addition, I mentioned it's got Power over Ethernet Plus, and it's got HDMI input for live TV. So anybody that needs a cable box to pop in there, or a satellite, DirecTV, Dish Network, those can all go in HDMI input. It's all HDC protected content, can be encoded through the BrightSign player. So very important piece. And I always like to say, you know, a lot of these guys that are putting in media players or digital signage throughout their corporate campus, you know, this is a great feature for the break room where you've got live TV playing, but I would highly recommend that when you're talking to your IT, typically it's the IT guys that you're talking to in the companies, try to reach out to the HR department when you're talking to your corporation or companies about these features, this digital signage. The HR departments, I've noticed, they've got money. They're spending money on pamphlets and posters around the corporate campus. Once the HR department starts understanding that they now can deliver their message to the employees via digital signage, they're all of a sudden interested, and they have money to spend in their budgets. So I mentioned that with the live TV part because in the break rooms, you can have live TV playing like a lot of break rooms do, but now the HR department can have their little signage around the screen, similar to what you see on the screen here where you've got the soccer game playing, but the HR department could literally have their messaging around that. And so that's something that is important when you're talking about budgets. You get different divisions within companies that actually have money to spend. So a lot of times you're talking to the IT guy, well, he's just spending what money he's got in his budget. You get the HR department in there to chip in, and now you've got a real solution here. I think that's really it, Bill. I do want to mention that these button panels, accessories, I mentioned the wireless module. I don't think I need to go any further into that. These USB button panels are really interesting. A lot of people use touch screens. Obviously, that's a solution. It's a little more expensive because now you've got to use a touch screen TV. But these button panels that you see on the top, these are just connected via USB into our media players. It's a proprietary hardware piece that we developed. We actually developed it for Bose. So if you go to any Bose display throughout the world and you hit play, pause, volume up, down, those are our button pads that they're using. And so we, a few years ago, released it to the general public. So now you have the capability. These are just, they're just capacitive touch buttons. They can light up and turn on and turn off when they're touched. There's a 4 button and an 11 button. So something to keep in mind when you're talking about something interactive. You just literally put a piece over the top of it, and an acrylic piece or something that would hide the buttons and show the graphics on top of it. So something to keep in mind. These things are, I think, $35 list price. So very, very affordable tool, and that you can just you program what you want the buttons functionality to be inside BrightAuthor. So very capable piece for any type of touch or push button type capabilities. And then one thing to also note that for those of you that are familiar with the fact that we use SD cards to house all the content in your projects, in order to move the size of these, to reduce the size of our media players, we've shrunk the size of the SD card that we're using. So now, in the past, we were using a standard size SD card. We've moved to a micro SD. So one thing to note on that is not only are they much smaller and allows us to fit them into a smaller footprint of our players, but also note that there are a lot of really bad SD cards out there in the market. I mean, we try not to make money on our SD cards. We try to give you the capability of buying the SD cards from us so that they're affordable. But also note, we have a contract with SanDisk, and SanDisk makes sure that every single SD card that comes off of their production line is tested and approved before it gets shipped to BrightSign. And that's not the case with almost all SD cards in the market. The little $4 or $5 SD cards you can find out on the market, those are SD cards that didn't pass the test, and they got put into a different bin, and they still get sold throughout the world. Our SD cards are the ones that get passed, and they're also commercial grade Class 10 cards. So, a lot of people think an SD card is an SD card is an SD card. That's not necessarily the case. So I want you guys to at least acknowledge the fact that all of our SD cards are approved, and they're approved specifically for our media players. So I strongly urge every single one of you to use the SD cards that we offer, not because we make money off of them, because they're going to be reliable and you're not going to have any issues with them. Typically, our media players, I mentioned, have less than 1/4% fail rate. The only other time that these players go down is if the network drops or an SD card fails. And typically that's because somebody uses a bad SD card. So something to keep in mind when you're building your projects. I think that's it, Bill. I mean, I could go through all these features again. I think I touched on most of them. I think, this presentation is available on our website. In the training tab. So if any of you want this to download and have available to present to your customers, it's available to you. All of these features are pointed out. And the one last thing I should note too is specific to your customers and the demos. We offer a 50% off demo discount. So all of you should have your own media player in your lab so that you can build projects and test them before you send them out to your customers. I would highly recommend that. You can buy them through AllNet at 50% off. And then the other thing too is if you go onto our website, you'll note on the support tab, there's a number of user tutorials that will allow you to learn how to do specific things. In addition to, under the products tab, we have built a number of demo content. So the content is included. The whole project's built already in BrightAuthor. All you need to do is download it onto your PC and put it onto an SD card and pop it into the BrightSign player. So we've built a number of different demos for you to show your customers. So all of the features or most of the features that I've communicated today we've got demos that are already created in BrightAuthor and available for you to download and use for your own demo purposes. So those are the two things that I would highly recommend doing. Getting a demo unit, going onto our website, doing the tutorials and learning how to do it, and then downloading the demos so that you can use them for effective presentations with your customers. That's really about it, unless there are other questions, or if there's something that I haven't touched on that you'd like me to talk more about.
No, I just, we'll keep the chat window open here in case some questions come through. And I just want to remind everybody that if you popped in late, or if you'd like somebody else in your organization to sit through this, it will be posted up to our YouTube channel, and I encourage you all to subscribe. As Eric mentioned, the BrightSign not only did make fantastic hardware, but the training effort that they put forth on their website and training modules that are available are really invaluable. So I'd really encourage you guys to take advantage, purchase a unit for your company, and figure out and get onto the website and do some training so you're better educated. Most of the time, I can tell you that dealers want to be in this category, an opportunity pops up, and suddenly they have a project and they're scrambling to understand how to put it all together. So nothing like a little bit of pre-planning to avoid that and getting involved in this profit center early. So you
yeah,
found
and
the
Bill,
right.
just to,
Yep.
sorry to interrupt, but
No.
one thing to touch on that. I clearly don't want you to get a call from somebody saying, I have a presentation this morning and I need somebody to help me build this project. But the reality is we're here to help you guys. So if there are some of you out there that have gone through the tutorials and you still have questions, give me a holler. I mean, I'll spend some time with you, or I'll have one of my inside sales guys spend some time with you to go through it with you. But I would highly recommend that you get on those tutorials. I mean, literally, some of them are 5 minutes long, some of them are 50 minutes long. I don't think any of them are longer than that. But they do a great job of telling and stepping you through the process. If, like I said, if you have a situation where after you've gone through these tutorials, you still have questions, reach out to me and we'll definitely get you helped out. And then the last thing is, if you do have a project and you are struggling with how to build that project for your customer, contact me as well. I've got my content guys that can help you, get that project built correctly.
As Eric said too, a lot of people don't really understand what the power of digital signage is. So if you're working in a bar situation, or if you've got former clients that own restaurants or bars or anything like that, if you have a player and you preload a system on there, they all have the displays hanging, so to be able to go out there and do a live demo is relatively easy, and it's a high close ratio. So it's an exciting category. There are a couple questions here that I want to talk about. First is, are any more questions popping up? Any big changes with BrightAuthor?
I mentioned most of the stuff that we've popped into BrightSign Network. BrightAuthor, really there haven't been any massive changes. I would highly recommend that if you're using BrightAuthor to update to the latest version. That's one of the nice features or things about BrightSign is we do continually improve both BrightSign Network and BrightAuthor, and we don't charge for those firmware or software updates. So, I mean, to that point, there haven't been significant improvements to BrightAuthor, but I would highly recommend updating to the latest version of BrightAuthor, which I think is 4.6. And that can be just downloaded off of our website, obviously. And then same thing with BrightSign Network. I went through a lot of the new features from BrightSign Network, so I would say the majority of our time has been spent on improving BrightSign Network and making it more user-friendly and feature-rich. So yeah, BrightSign Network has a number of different new features in it, specifically the tagging part of that. In fact, there's new WebExes on tagging, media and player tagging. Those are features that have been improved on BrightSign Network that I think all of you should take a look at. and like I said, continually updating your players with the new firmware so that they get the ability to utilize those new features.
Great. Any content on LS series can be uploaded from the web?
Yeah, we've got a number of demos on the LS line that you can go onto our website and download. The demos are there. All the content is included. So there's video content, there's touchscreen capabilities, so a lot of capabilities, and they're all the demos are available to download from our website.
Okay. Does BrightSign broker relationships with content creators who freelance and familiar with the BrightSign products?
Yeah, that's a great question that I left out. We don't share in the revenue of these guys, but you can. So I can get you connected with one or two of the guys that we have recognized as being both very competent and very affordable, and those are the guys that we recommend to our dealers. So reach out to me if you're interested in getting contact with a guy who not only can develop really good content. The guy that I would recommend is called Red Dot. They're out of San Diego. Daryl Cooter. If you've been to any of our trade shows in our booth, Daryl is typically there. He's typically the only guy that we allow to come into our booth, so it kind of gives you an idea of how strongly we feel about his capabilities. But more so, he knows BrightAuthor, he knows BrightSign Network extremely well. He can build very good both HTML and just regular video and image content. And he also has a support capability. So for some of you who don't want to get into that at all, Red Dot, I can get you connected with Daryl, and he can run everything. You guys sell the system, install the system, and have Daryl build the whole project and manage the support of it from a technical standpoint. If you don't want to do anything outside of that, Daryl's team can do that for you. And like I said, BrightSign doesn't share in that revenue, but you can build a relationship with him and develop some type of a revenue source for that as well.
Another question, other than sample projects, is there an idea book of BrightSign projects that has been documented?
Yeah, there's a number of case studies as well on our website, and that's in the, I believe the customer, or the partners tab, I believe. It might be, because I should probably know this, but it's either in our partners tab or under the each of the players. I think it might be under the each of the player tabs in terms of XT models, XD models. It'll show case studies. So a lot of, and actually those are also downloadable. Some of them have projects that you can download from those case studies as well. And they're also from all different vertical markets as well.
Okay, that concludes the questions that have popped up so far. So we'll hang out here for a few minutes with Eric, and if you guys have any questions, please feel free. You can also unmute yourself if you'd like, just to ask it, versus
sure.
Typing it in case you're driving. Feel free to do that. But we'll just hang out here for a few minutes and see if there's any other questions that come up. For those of you that are jumping off now, I just want to say thanks again for joining us. Look out for the recording, and hope you can join us next week for the Just Add Power video over IP seminar. Thank you.